Spool. This is a most opportune visit for you. You met with no rabble on the highway trying to take your purse or person?
My journey was without problem, Sir Smith. Your practice of law and order, 'tis known in many corners. Keeping one's neck from the noose is highly recommended.
King George rules his subjects as a stern father with an unruly child. Reverend Spool, there is much more at stake in this world than the rights of a common individual. May we? What sense of order would that make? Everyone would want their own private king to rule them. It is just unnatural. Can a peasant be anything more than a peasant? His station in life is to live by the sweat of his brow, and by asking for anything more than what he is worth is just illogical. Now, tell me, what is this idiotic notion to rule yourself? You are a subject that King George, no? You still drink the very milk of his bosom that is life. Now, what other purpose we have to live?
You think so little of our situation, it seems. This notion, as you call it, Ambassador Renoir, is a cause demanding honest and equal identification of us as human beings. Not chattel to be sold at market, nor chaff to be ground into dust, and His Majesty's bosom has been quenching our thirst with spoiled milk as of late.
I was unaware of your discomfort, my friend. You have never sought favors for yourself and have always addressed matters relating to the needs of others. But you and I know there are still some in your ranks who believe this activity now afoot is unwise and dangerous. Armed rebels have already shot and killed British soldiers performing their duties. You unite yourself with whiskey-switting hooligans under the guise of independence. Men like yourself have signed their names to this preposterous decree that we are supposed to recognize and obey. We put you in the colony to suppress anarchy, not lead it. What do you expect His Majesty King George to take from being called a tyrant? Did you read this document before you delivered it? Do you know the only reason you will be allowed to leave this room and not be thrown into prison or hanged in a public square is because of our friendship? An affection, I dare say, one might have for an invalid uncle from childhood.
I know very well what the document says, Sir Smith. I am willing to accept prison or the hangman's noose for its contents. My question to you is, will you do as it asks? Remove yourselves from our shores and honor us as free men.
With no army or no navy, not even a pedigree recognized by any royal court in all of Europe. I can assure you my king will never see you as an equal in this universe. Impossible, mon ami.
Delmont and I were quite amused at some of the passages in this tract. I will read you the passage that humored myself, and Delmont will read you his. You will hear these words as they were written before I ask you to leave this court and never return. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object in the establishment of an absolute tyrant over these states. States! You are a union of field mice and jackrabbits. You do have the fine towns of Boston, Philadelphia, and Richmond to your credit. Beyond that, your citizenry are illiterate, inbreeding bastards, sired by Philistine hordes. You are a colony, Reverend, and that is what you will remain. Your turn, Renoir.
Merci beaucoup, Devon. Apportez, s'il vous plaît. That these united colonies are, and the right, ought to be free and independent states. Are you insane? And here, dear Reverend, is where you have really seemed to lost your mind. That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is forever be totally dissolved. This is a total impossibility. Under the article Divine Governance, you are committing an act of treason. We don't give candy kisses to treasonous. We give them the rope. Do not look for St. Harbour's France, dear Reverend Spool. The man of God will make no difference to their own law.
I am amazed, Ambassador Renoir, that you can join civility and murder in the same breath. We are already experiencing death at the hands of His Royal Highness. Why not yours as well? Mr. Smith, I am sorry we were unable to understand each other. I attend the theater this evening to see Mr. Garrick perform. My order professes the theater to be a temple of wickedness and folly. But I've never been a follower of conventional wisdom. Why begin now?
Garrett's Lear is without fear. I have witnessed his performance 4 times. Lear was reduced to ashes by his enemies, just as you will be if you do this thing, William.
There is still time to change, Reverend. Seek your holy book for the wisdom of Solomon. You are your people's last hope. To comprendre?
Oui. Goodbye, Devon.
Such a man, such a man! You still love him, Devon. How could you bring yourself to hate him?
I can love the man and hate knowing that I do. Fool that I am.
God, fight the battle, be still. God, fight the battle, be still. God, fight your battle. God, fight your battle. If you just be still. Oh, Mr. Holmes. I was so busy working on these here shoes, I didn't see you come in from around the side. How's Titan doing? Is he standing up on them shoes I made for him yet?
Oh, he's running like a stout coal. Excellent, Lord Jolie. I'm always happy with what you give me. Let's see around here. How's your material holding up?
Well, these here my last pair of shoes. No iron or metal, any place to be found in town. I think I'll be making shoes with wood real soon. Very little supplies coming in with ships blocked in the harbor. And even if I had iron, no way for folks to pay me.
Damn politicians cannot make up their minds what money we can use. Virginia got theirs. New Jersey got theirs. I get better service trading chickens for a box of nails. Well, things might be looking up though. You see, I hear tell they are thinking of starting a full-fledged army to fight King George. Percy's strings are going to get loose very soon.
You're going to need horses for them officers to ride on. No better person to get them from than you, Mr. Holmes.
Business is going to do well for you, Dolly. Horses need good shoes to run on. You see, if they take my horses, they have to take your shoes, and bridle, and saddle. I'll speak for you when the time comes.
My word speaks for itself, though.
Oh, Dolly, these men are not liking me about it. Look, I give you my business because you're a good man. It's not the same with these men. Albeit, you are not a slave, but it's just...
I'm not a white man.
Well, I'll speak for you. We're passing out these leaflets to the courthouse. See, Dolly, we are demanding our rights as free men from old King George. Look, this room's fancy enough. I'll read it to you.
If you don't mind, give it to me, Mr. Holmes. I'll read it to you.
Okay.
When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people...
One people. I guess it means everybody, doesn't it?
Don't say it. Could be, don't. I'm going to say it, B. It's speaking for those people who want this independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A man can work his whole life and never see any of these things. We telling the king himself we're going to take him and he's out of here. But when it comes time for me to speak to those men about blacksmithing their horses, I was just showing this here piece of paper. Can I keep it, Mr. Holmes?
It's yours. Well, I have to get back to the stables to check on my hay and water. Look, I'll see about rounding up some more iron from the horses you'd be starting for our army. And as always, Mr. Doley, you keep yourself well now.
Will do, Mr. Holmes. Good day, Mr. Holmes. These thieves, God fight your battle, these thieves. God fight your battle, these thieves. God fight your battle. One people.
School, I got people ready to tar and feather me if I don't address these lack of provisions needed in Philadelphia. The king's ships have us cornered like rats. I'm witnessing the reports from the other committee members about British soldiers firing on citizens, looting homes, and possibly molesting women. I'm at my wit's end, Reverend.
I did not say His Majesty's reaction is a reasonable one. His cruelty has reached its zenith. We have stepped out of line from the other conquest of Great Britain and are paying the price for it. We were allowed to leave the homeland, but total succession is another matter.
I posted the declaration in the square, and I read its contents out loud to all that had gathered. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness rose to fire in their blood. A militia was formed right there on the spot. And a good old man in the community named Cyrus Holmes was made its colonel. I say, it's time we take this fight to our crumpet-eating cousins.
I will second that remark with the same words as my fellow statesman. Yes, I say statesman, for that is what we declare ourselves to be. We'll take this fight to every house, every back alley, behind every tree. If you got men too scared to fight, I'll fire the first shot myself.
I will send our best against a lot of them Tommy Johns. And every man here possesses an ounce of pride in being a free man will stand with his neighbors to fight this tyrant's henchman.
My friends, I have no doubt the courage our people will show against our oppressors. War is on our doorstep, and we must fight for our survival. But we are learned men, sir, and war to me has the look of impatience and unaccountability.
William, I know you're a man of peace and life is fragile in the practice of brutality, but what other choice do we have?
Such feeling can be misinterpreted as cowardice if it weren't for your vocation, Reverend School. I do hope that that was not the attitude you expressed with Sir Deborah Smith. I just don't know how to feel about that.
Tell me, Mr. Rutledge, if I wanted black powder for my muskets, how could I purchase it?
William, we have black powder.
It is a fair question that the Reverend asks. His being not familiar with firearms and such.
Rutledge, don't let that mob man fool you. He's one of the finest marksmen in the county. He will also be training our recruits in musket shooting, but he doesn't like it when his skills are revealed to others.
Yes, black powder can be bought here when in supply, but can I buy it in Connecticut?
My lord, Reverend. Yes, you can buy it here, yes.
With what, sir?
Oh, money, dear Reverend.
Whose money?
Our money. We have our own currency.
But my money is from Pennsylvania. Will you not honor it here in Connecticut?
No, I won't honor it in Connecticut. Reverend, Pennsylvania money is going to do me no good in Connecticut.
My answer exactly. We are united in fight, but separate in currency. We cannot buy from each other because we cannot bargain with each other's currencies. Don't you think King George sees this and is laughing at us?
Well, we are a united confederacy, Reverend Spool, separate but equal. Why else are we in conflict with King George? Haven't you lost your taste of being someone else's slave? Do you need a master so much?
I have never wanted to be a slave to anyone other than my lord, Mr. Rutledge. No amount of tyranny has thwarted your enterprise in this.
Well, this enterprise that you're referring to will spell the difference in how we fight against our enemies. It will buy our black powder, our musket balls, and our men. And the question of this enterprise existence is suitably accommodated in our declaration. It is not a topic of concern now or ever.
Separate but equal will not be seriously recognized by other nations.
This is something our committee hasn't even considered.
Indeed, sir.
Oh, my Mammy Jean would say, you fix and throw out the greens with the gravy, it just ain't done.
I will submit my request before a committee and see if it will be ratified or denied. All I ask is that you vote with a clear conscience. No allegiance to anyone. In the long run, Mr. Rutledge, I believe your Mammy Jean would appreciate it.
Well, she's more of a believer than a seeker, Reverend. You just don't pin your hopes on someone like that.
Well, how you be, darling?
Not too fine, not too fine.
Well,
Very pretty dress you got there.
this dress right here is for Miss Adams' eldest girl. She's coming out this week. She's being introduced to society. You done finished for the day?
No, I'm heading down to Smoky Bottles to get me some lunch.
Oh!
I'm down here to see if you want to go with me.
Well, thanks just the same, Dolly, but I got my lunch right here. I fixed it this morning. As a matter of fact, I made enough for two. Well, I'm not saying that Smoky Bottom's food ain't good, because it sure enough is. All I'm saying is, you don't have to go far to get mine is all.
I guess I'm be better off just stand right here and have with you then.
Well, I guess it would. You want me to stop working on this dress and go get it?
No. I'll stop you from doing your work. That was going to be hot as bacon to get that dress.
Why, that she would. But I'm not going to go hungry for her. I'll go get her lunch. I'll be right back.
Well, you weren't lying. You did fix it up for two.
Oh, yes.
Looks good, too.
Well, it tastes good, too. All right. You all sit up over here. All right. Well, thank you. Well, sit down, Mr. Winston. Let's eat. Well, would you say the blessing, please?
Lord, thank you for this food we're about to partake that comes from your mighty hand.
Yes.
It smells like something you probably have up in heaven, so I'm going to tell you all about that. And Lord, let that letter be true Mr. Holmes gave me yesterday. Amen.
Amen. Let's see here, You know, I understood the first part of that prayer. Well, what was the last part talking about?
You must have heard him talking about it in the square. We're getting ready to fight against old King George.
Oh,
To be treated right and fair.
yeah, I heard
That's
about
all
it.
you had.
I heard about it. Some of the ladies,
says one people.
One people.
You see, what this fight is all about is everybody living free and happy. Everybody, Hattie.
Okay. Well, things are just starting out, Dolly. I mean, you can't tell when all this is going to come to fruit. And it may be a long time before we see.
Well, Mr. Holmes and folks like him, they put a lot of faith in this thing.
Mr. Holmes.
I mean, I hear tell folks in some town are being hanged by soldiers. Now, something that much for a man to be hanged on a tree farm has to be worth plenty.
All right. Well, let me make sure I understood you correctly. So you want to get hung on a tree to prove you were the same as Holmes?
Yeah. I mean,
My.
I ain't no horse to be sat on and rode till he dead. And I ain't nothing to be picked and pawed over. I comes here to this here town fighting off dogs and eating all kind of stuff. Ain't even worth talking about. Now, you ever been on an auction lot?
No, I can't say I have. I was born right here in Philadelphia. I didn't come by sight. My mother was put on the block because the ship she was on coming to Savannah. She told me all kinds of things about being a slave. But I am a free woman because of where she gave birth. And I don't hold my head down because of it. But you want to go fight. You want my blessing?
Don't know right yet. I mean, I guess to find out what the truth is, one of us gotta do it. I expect it all to be me.
Men got all the freedom. Women got to wait for theirs. I fixed a good meal, Dolly. Eat.
I hope I am not disturbing any business affairs I have caught you in the middle of, Mr. Hamilton. I asked the committee if you would spare me time to speak with you.
The committee is in the middle of mounting a defense for our survival reference school. If they fail in their duty, I certainly would have no reason to continue doing my own. I'm imploring my colleagues and customers to show their spirit for the cause by formulating a fund to support our militia in the field.
I debated this very account with my colleagues in session. Monetary segregation stagnates the production we so desperately need.
You want me to convince them as much?
Your sound qualities in financial matters.
We're being argumentative to the point of making an opponent mute with rage. My good reverend, I don't see much being progress with men sitting around, red-faced and silent.
But they will be listening.
You know, this break from the king has set events in motion that won't cost much. Bickering over a tax that would not be missed if it were being bartered in the marketplace is not worth losing favor with the most powerful kingdom on earth.
Piracy, sir, is not a mandate for sovereignty. We are not unanimous in this cause, Mr. Hamilton, but we are Americans now, and we fight against those who wish us not to be. Have I made a grave error in asking your assistance?
You're not shy about your intentions, are you? No, you have not made an error. I was just being sure how committed you are. When do you want me to leave for Philadelphia?
I do not want you to leave at all, sir. Your influence is here. I will be leaving in the morning to see another gentleman who will be helping us as well. I want him to come here and assist you.
Assist me.
You know about currency. We need someone judge's bench. I am staying with a fellow clergyman and his family in town. His wife makes a delicious mulligan stew. Join us this evening and I'll speak more with you before I leave in the morning.
No, Reverend. I have other plans to do my time this evening. I wish you well with your meal and travel. I await your return with your master when you've secured them. What a clear expedition you undertake.
You understand it all, Mr. Hamilton. I promise.
They send a sheep to do a wolf's bidding. God upside I've chosen. Mulligan stew. Good God.
They told me I'd find you down here. Wasn't sure I'd get a chance to see you before you go.
Oh, thank you, Dolly. But I haven't left just yet. I got to check the men's rations of black powder, salt beef, ammunition, and water. And you can bet a coxcurl and Terry boys won't be without. You look like you got something else to say. What's on your mind, Dolly?
Well, I've been studying on what we talked about the other day, and I come down here to see for myself, see whether you were really going to fight about, go on and fight for all that was in that piece of paper you gave me.
Well, I haven't changed my mind one bit. We got invading army tearing through here like a fever, and only the slightest chance that a bunch of stiff-backed, bare-handed commoners like us can stop them. This ain't no social call we making.
Well then, I think I'll just come along with you for my own good reasons. You know, when them musket balls start falling and passing battling boys' ears, the only thing they gonna be fighting for is a piece of ground.
I would like you to come along, Yoli, because you would be someone I can depend on. Oh, you can't be regular militia, I'm afraid. I got all the musket men I need, and my horses, well, they're for carrying supplies and a few second officers. Truthfully, I have nothing left but serving duties, you see, cleaning clothes, serving meals, and running courier. Yet, you would be right by my side the whole time, and it could be a good position with the troop. What do you think?
You got weak seed oil? Or sawback? Or tar liniment for the horses you taking with you?
Well, not exactly. I didn't really think that.
Do you know what to do if one of them horses throws a shoe and the hoof gets infected?
I don't think that would be a call.
Do you know how to braid them out for one of them when they get a hold of some bad hay?
That wasn't exactly my training.
Looks to me, Mr. Holmes, like you ain't quite ready to go just yet. Tell me something. Who's the top man in your group that ain't an officer of yours?
Mr. Kenner there.
All right. Make me like Mr. Kennedy. I mean, and put me in charge of all the horses and the supplies they be carrying. I mean, it's better to ride back from a fight than to walk back from one.
So, like, making the same as Mr. Kenner is not going to make them boys do the same for you as they would for him. You know that.
You mean to tell me if I was to find a tree big enough for all them boys to hide behind when them bullets start flying, it won't matter if it's Mr. Kennedy or me telling them to get behind it. Now, I just said, let's say, I can stay here or I can go with you. I done made my peace with the only person in this here town that matters before I go and do this thing. So, the way I put it to you, Mr. Holmes, that's the only way I go.
You know, Winston, you got a lot of brass giving me an ultimatum like that. I got boys who are as green as grass heading to dismiss us. I know you've come through much more than they've ever seen.
What you saying?
Go tell Mr. Kenner you'll be traveling with us and he'll show you where the horses are tied up. Now you see, you tell him that you're first master for the horses and provisions. He'll know what to do with you.
That's all he needs to know.
Oh yes, that's all he needs to know. Attend your duties, first master.
Will do, Mr. Holmes, will do.
First Master Winston, hold up. You see, here when an order has been understood, you answer, yes, sir. See, Mr. Holmes is not my name anymore. Colonel Holmes is my name now. You respond, yes, Colonel Holmes. Is that understood?
Yes, Colonel Holmes, sir.
Oh, well, Dolly. Oh, you're a little sly son of a bitch, aren't you? Oh, well, well done. Well done, Dolly.
I hope the tea is to your taste. The last good batch was Sir Norse drone into the Boston Harbor. I'm still not sure Central North of that decision.
Taxing a basic necessity has to be made an example of, Mr. Hamilton. I cannot indulge knowing the penalties others have endured for it.
Ah, but if you were the profiteer of such sweet indulgence, the taste would be much sweeter.
As it happens, the taste is enjoyed by King George. Do you miss so much being in this service?
You question my loyalty to the cause with your remark, Mr. J. Does no one admire caution or reserve in one's character anymore? We've been branded traitors with our refusal to follow laws created by our protector. There's absolutely nothing to stop France or Spain from invading us like renegades. If His Majesty can create hastings to fight us, he'd be willing to let a few of his relatives chastise us too.
France and Spain are not our adversaries at the moment. The shooting has started with British soldiers. We have a formidable task at hand, Mr. Hamilton, and we had best get to it before another life is lost.
What direction will you be going, Mr. Madison? Myself and Mr. J's issues are very apparent.
Our laws and commerce are in disarray, gentlemen. Yet when established in this land, will it be equally afforded for all to inhabit?
To the citizens of America, it will be.
But not to slaves. Mr. Madison proposes to debate fairness for the peasant class who are without property or capital. Your colleagues from the South Reverend School will surely not be very pleased.
Cry foul and threaten to resign their votes. Nevertheless, gentlemen, I'm the irritating cousin no one likes to invite to the wedding, but turns out the one getting married. You've done a magnificent job assembling us for this work. Now I'd like to see my living quarters and sample this town's fine cuisine.
Splendid notion. I'll transport my notes and books with me here tomorrow. Will that be acceptable, Mr. Hamilton?
By all means, Mr. J. My office is yours, sir. Mr. Madison, will you be needing to bring anything?
Oh no, Mr. Hamilton. I have one book. My mind will suffice through all else.
Not a problem for room then?
Oh yes, my traveling companion, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Madison, I did not see anyone with you before we traveled here.
Nor I. You traveled alone.
You didn't see him, Mr. J, because he was in my pocket. Mr. Brown's a mouse. A fellow I caught ravishing my tomato seeds. I crept upon him one day. I was about to bash him with my spade. Then he turned his head and we met eyes and we sort of spoke to one another. Turns out he was only eating the lower grade seeds. But he took to me like an old friend and he's been my companion ever since. I even made a traveling box for him. And on special days, I let him travel in my pocket. Now, would you like to meet him?
Now?
You know, not today. Tomorrow, perhaps.
Take the animal out of your pocket so we can get this over with.
Well, that's impossible, Mr. Hamilton.
Why is that, Mr. Madison?
He's not in my pocket just now. He's in the traveling box in the carriage. The first meeting was for me to attend.
Splendid.
Frightening.
I'm hungry.
Yes.
We shall conclude for today, gentlemen. I will be in session tomorrow, so I will leave you to your business.
How fortunate for you. Have a good evening, Mr. J. Mr. Madison.
Until tomorrow, Mr. Hamilton.
A pleasure, Mr. Hamilton. Where will you be staying at, Mr. J?
As soon as I know where you are, Mr. Madison.
Mr. Holmes, Colonel Holmes, sir. They told me I'd find you rested over here. How you doing? They wouldn't let me come in to see you until the doctor took you in to fix you up. You okay? Excuse me, sir. Something's wrong with the colonel here. He's shaking his hand, but he ain't saying nothing.
He's not allowed to talk with a bandage around his neck. He took a ball in the side of the neck and nicked an artery. If he was to talk, the hole could open up and he'd bleed to death. Here. Have him write down what he wants to say to you on this, and you can read it. Then you can read, can't you, boy?
What rank are you in this outfit, son?
They say I'm a private.
Well, I'm a first master private, and a little too old for you to be calling boy. Now, give me your question again.
Sorry, First Master. I just asked if you need help to read what the Colonel would write.
No, I don't. Just take good care of him.
I sure will, First Master. I'll take good care of him. You enjoy your visit. Good thing you found him out there, though. Most of y'all didn't make it back.
Here you go. That's some paper and here's a pencil. Now you write slow and easy. Don't tire yourself out. Oh, we got a few back to camp. We put the dead ones in wagons for burying. Looked like the British boys did the same with theirs. When the scouting party got to the field, they only found you. Oh, we lost a good bit. I mean, 5 to 6 of ours is all that's left. And they're ready to go back out and fight. We ain't got no replacements coming for a good 2 days, so we're just going to sit still and wait for you to get better, Colonel. Mr. Kenner. Colonel, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to say it plain. One of them British boys put a bayonet straight through his head. He's done, Colonel. He was a good man. Surprised me how he took the news about me being the same rank as him. And all he wanted was to get them, these British soldiers out of this country. A good man. Well, you can't be talking. You're gonna let that hole open up again and you're gonna start bleeding out.
Will you take the man?
Yeah.
You, Colonel, will you teach someone those horses?
I'll take care of things for you. You just relax now and
I gotta be changed his bandage now, First Master. You through with your visit?
Is he gonna live?
Well, the surgeon did all he could for him. He says that you'll know if they're going to die in the first 3 to 4 days. He's got no infection, though. I think he's going to live. He's a tough old piece of leather.
You do good by him. We expected him back.
I can tell you a good friend of his, First Master. I'll make sure he's treated right. You got my word on it.
All right.
"'Tis clear as crystal that a recognized currency be paid for by all commoners. Which they will that authority to issue this currency can be up for debate.
Then we'd be burdened to issue a charter legally governing that state to provide the only currency suitable for the entire country. Do you want to take on that, Mr. Hamilton? I, for one, do not.
This currency would be possessed by men of property. Tell me, gentlemen, do you think this resolution be fully embraced by those who currently govern?
No, it wouldn't be. Opposition is its natural birthright. Isn't that the reason we are here?
I wonder why we are here at all. Reverend School has been sent on a fool's mission, and we may be fools ourselves that have come along. Despite what we think of England, it clearly knows who its ruler is. We don't want another king, but a body does have a head atop itself.
You've read Thomas Paine's Common Sense.
No, I have not, Mr. Madison. Can't any thought I have be an original one?
difference is you elaborate much more than he does. You have discovered hits to what Cain has professed. The time has come to correct Britain's constitution and form a new government free of kings and hereditary rule. Reverend Spools returned to Congress to report on what he termed a resolution document. Gentlemen, we're not writing a resolution. You do not ask men to die for an idea. The truth is we're writing a constitution for the whole entire country.
Damn you, Spool. Damn you!
Steady, John, steady.
He knew all along. He was too damn a coward to tell us.
Don't blame him, John. Spool was directed by his maker to find us. Now, Alexander, if we were to centralize the issue of currency, would it have to be done for just one state?
No, it wouldn't be.
Take your thought on my question and try that approach to the answer. I think you might hit upon something we can use.
All right.
John, on our way to meet with Alexander, you intrigued me with your case of defending a young girl from murder. Naturally, this was an overwhelming case of self-preservation. Tell me, would this have been the same in Virginia as she'd been a black on trial? Can we have one standard be judged regardless of genealogy?
Only if a precedent is established can we have a standard, James.
And still be judged by a jury accepting the person being tried?
Not in the case of a black, no.
Well, you leave that to me then.
My best to you if you can.
My best to you indeed. Where are these sudden revelations of yours coming from, James? Certainly not that thing in your pocket.
Well, if you're referring to Mr. Brown, I can't say he hasn't encouraged me. In nature, the more superior species make more difficult choices with their lives and they die off more quicker. Will you tell me who would you rather be at this moment?
From Alexander Hamilton to Mr. Brown, with my compliments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
With that gesture, I think we've reached a remarkable plateau of acceptance.
I hoped it wouldn't be noticed.
I say with apology that Reverend Spool knew you better than I, James.
Only in the company equally as good, John. And you, Alexander.
William, what can you tell me of their progress?
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to know what Massachusetts need to be concerned with this revision to our Confederacy, Mr. Spool. Reverend, excuse me.
More blood than victories are coming from the field. Your three gentlemen should be taking up arms instead of quills for their contributions to the cause. Reverend, I am sick of words to fight the British with. How many more mothers do I face telling them that their sons will not be coming home? I mean, does anyone relish the duty to look into their wife's eyes and tell her child, the boy that gave her joy and happiness, that he was butchered to death by an officer's sword as he lay wounded upon the ground, and that his commanding officer was found curled up inside the hollow of a tree like a frightened child? Now, do you have nerve to bear news like that, or no?
I do. Because I have.
We have agreed that a regular army needs to be formed, do haste. That a militia is no match against this war of Britannia. Money is needed and a plan essential. Can your three men provide that?
I know my time is up for what I promised to deliver to the committee. I have been in dispatch with Mr. Hamilton in New York, and he assures me they have something to present for confirmation. They are good men, Mr. Rutledge, and have worked slavishly with our demands.
What's that remark meant primarily for me, Mr. Reverend School? Do you mean to have that secretly tucked away in this resolution?
William, today was your last chance. Your convictions are now pivotal to our solidarity. We have other business.
I have a letter here. It's from New York.
From New York?
They are coming to Philadelphia the day after tomorrow. It is done!
What? What is done, William?
Well, it's the resolution.
I
of
can't
course.
wait to hear it.
No, gentlemen, it is not a resolution. It's a constitution, a blueprint for the government of the United States of America. They said we have Massachusetts to thank for its inspiration.
Our Constitution.
That's one vote for you, School.
I must go and write them a letter. Oh, they may intercept it between here and New York. Meeting adjourned!
I say that, William.
I said it for you, Robert.
This means that we have a chance now. Thank God. Now we have a chance.
Yes.
inside. Here, remove your coat and sit down.
I wish not to be seen just now. I will when I am ready. Is that all right?
Certainly. When you are ready. It's a very cold night. Would you like something to drink? Tea, perhaps? I have food in the pantry if you're hungry.
I will share a cup of tea with you. If your mood is still the same later, I will eat with you as well.
Nothing you could say would rescind my invitation. What is your prayer that you want me to hear?
I want the power of forgiveness to touch me before I commit an act of sin. I want to know if you can grant this forgiveness to a stranger as you could to a friend.
Would it not be better that you not commit this sin at all? Temptation is powerful, but to know that God is with you, right here in this room, is more pleasurable than anything you can find in the flesh.
I could pluck out my eyes in order to resist Satan's grasp. What a choice you've given me. Blind, but saved. My sin, Father, is not of carnal nature. I must go to war for my country and possibly take a man's life in a deed. I have chosen the side not favorable with my neighbors. I know you are a separatist and side with those who wish to overthrow the crown.
Yes, I support the cause, but I turn no one away who asks for prayer. I will pray with you now, if that is your desire.
You would spare my life, knowing I am an enemy. What a friendship we have, William. Hello, William.
Oh! Devon! How did you come here?
Past your militia dotted along the
Oh.
road. This is my burrow, William. I traveled here many times before your rebellion. I'd be a marvelous prize for someone to catch. Surely you will hold promise to your faith in forgetting that.
You are in error, Devon. I said forgive, not forget. You arrived without fanfare. That's not like you.
You know my taste for attention. I'm no longer His Majesty's everyman of a colony. Your rebellion rubbished that. With my father's blessing, I was appointed first officer in the 2nd Dragoon. They were waiting up the coast to strike. I wanted to see you one last time. I feared I would not get the opportunity again. Unless it was staring down a musket barrel. I do remember you are a crack shot.
You are safe here, but it's best we have that tea now.
I'd say it is a good time for it.
Are you camped out in the woods nearby?
I have loyalists hiding me and my men. They have faith this will all end quickly and profitably. Are you sure this is how you want to go? Standing with these rebels?
Yes, if it will rid us of your king.
Why do you care for them so?
Because they are my flock, my church.
You don't even know them. Would they care to know you?
In what way?
That you are a Jew. You can't even show yourself to be what you really are.
I am what I needed to be. How I choose to do so is between myself and God. I've touched more souls here than I ever did in England. If you've come to test me, Devon, you've made a long trip for nothing.
You asked for my friendship, and I gave it. I asked for your allegiance, and you refuse. I love you and hate you, all with the same heart. How strange.
I still want to pray for you.
A parting gift to an old friend. The choice in its delivery is mine, yes? A language I choose?
Greek, Latin, whatever you wish.
Then, let it be Hebrew. Something you would never speak to anyone else.
Yitbarak, ve'yishtabak, ve'yitpa'a, ve'yithuroman, ve'yitnaseh, ve'yithagad, ve'yit'aleh, le, ilah, min kol barakata, Veshilata, Tushbekata, Ben Ek Imata, Da Amir, Bi Alma, Vimru. Amen.
Amen. Your tea was good, but do let it sit in the water a little longer before you sip it next time. Goodbye, William.
I'll remember. Goodbye, Devon. I'll remember.
Well, good afternoon, sir. May I help you buy something pretty today?
You know, I don't know. Everything here looks so beautiful. I see where all the well-dressed ladies get their wares. Your employer must be very busy keeping up with demands.
Well, she's very happy that her work is appreciated, sir. Can I help you pick something out for your wife or your daughter?
I have neither of those at the moment. Your dress is very well. You must be the favorite.
The favorite, sir?
Excuse me. Of your employer. You're very fine with a needle. A fine trade for a lady like yourself. You won't be dependent on no one for your livelihood.
Well, thank you, sir, for that helpful advice. Now, is there nothing I can help you with? Your reason for coming in here?
Yeah, I was wandering the streets to see what all the fuss about living in the city. You may have guessed I don't live here.
Well,
I'm the guest of Reverend Williams School in town, Washington.
okay.
You know him?
Why, yes, I attend his church on Sundays. Oh, he is a really good preacher, you know.
Splendid, you are a member.
Well, he's made it possible for me to come and listen to his service.
Great, then you are a guest.
The same as you.
One charm at a time. You are very educated and very lovely, if I may be bold to say.
Well, thank you.
You know, I'm sure not often said by gentlemen like me.
And I'm sure you don't say that too often to someone like me either.
You know, since I'm not purchasing a dress or selling goods like a peddler, I have no reason to keep you from your work. I want no conflict between you and your employer. It's very good to see you here in a successful enterprise. Very interesting, huh?
Well, see, I can handle the lady who owns the shop. You know, she and I are very close. As a matter of fact, one rule we have here is having strangers in our town welcome. So welcome, Mr.
James Madison.
Oh, okay. Hattie McKee.
Well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, man.
Oh, likewise, likewise. You know, can I offer you a cool drink of lemonade for this heat we seem to be having today?
You know, I'm not even bothered by it. Whenever I'm in my groves in mid-afternoon, I love the feeling of the sun beating down on the back of my neck as I'm coaxing the season from asleep. But I do have one small request for another refreshment you might have.
Okay, all right.
A dry biscuit or a kernel of corn in your pantry.
Oh, why, Mr. Madison. If you're hungry, I can share my lunch with you. You know, I made some corn cakes before I started all my sewing.
Oh, please, no. Mr. Brown's not going to take your lunch from you.
Oh.
Dry old biscuits are, one of his favorite treats.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Oh, we were wandering the streets and accidentally stopped for food.
Oh, okay. Well, he does not have to eat anything like that if he is hungry. You know, I don't get many men that come in here, being that it's a lady shop and all. If he's uncomfortable coming in, I can limit that.
You know, I couldn't leave him out there with all that activity. There's an awful lot of stray cats wandering the streets.
Why, yes, Mr. Madison. They help keep down the rats, you know.
Even though he's better off in my pocket than out there.
Did you say, why, Mr. Madison? What is Mr. Brown?
Oh, he is a mouse in his bitch.
Oh, no! You have a mouse in your pocket in my shop!
Your shop?
Yes, Mr. Madison, my shop. I am the proprietor of this enterprise.
Well, your language is so clear and precise. I do apologize.
Well, I don't let people bring mice into my shop. I am very clear on that.
Mouse, my dear lady. Mice with their fur. And I do have more than Mr. Brown in my pocket. Excuse me.
Well, he cannot be in here. I could be closed by the health inspector, you know.
I assure you, I keep him restricted from any diseases.
Well,
I give him fresh water, a good diet, and keep his box cleared of excrements.
oh, yeah, well.
Come look in my pocket and see for yourself. Well, come on now.
Ooh,
Come on.
Mr. Well, Mr. Madison, okay then, all right. All right, let's take a look then. Oh, he's something, ain't he? Tiny little eyes and a black little nose. Does he like being in your pocket like that?
Oh, no. Only when he's sleeping. Right now, he's very active and wants to scurry on around.
Oh, no, he has to stay in there.
Yes, and I know. He'll be fine. He's just very hungry.
Oh, I'll go get you that biscuit.
Well, thank you.
Is he eating it?
Oh, yes, he is, Miss McKee.
Oh,
Or is it Mrs.? You know, I did not stop to ask if you were married.
It's Miss. You know, I have someone that I care for, but he and I, we're not married.
Well, where is he right about now?
Well, away, fighting like everybody else seems to be doing around here.
We want our freedom, and violence seems to be the only way to achieve it.
Yeah.
That's not at all.
Yeah. Well, that's what they told Dolly, and there he went, running right off after it. And all I know is I worked hard on learning how to speak, walk, sing, dance, and eat like the ladies I want to walk in here. And it only took one. But soon they all started coming. Wasn't no paper written by a man ever gave that to me, Mr. Madison. And they ain't gonna ever give that to Dooley.
Yes, ma'am. Me and my friends all presented this idea that may make what your man's fighting for with his efforts. I'm sorry.
I will remember this meeting, Mr. Key.
Well, so will I. You and Mr. Brown.
They are ready to start. From the tone of the discussions in there, it looks very promising.
A few sleepless nights rendered insightful results.
Aided by an already existing framework and a mouse.
What?
A joke, William, I think.
When will we know the decision?
We have to give them time, Mr. Madison.
What about my proposal? Will it be discussed intelligently? If I'm never needed in there and shepherded along, I will do so.
I feel as Mr. Madison does with my position.
And mine.
Yes. They are tackling matters that press their attention.
What could be more in need of their attention than ratifying a constitution to govern this country?
An army, Mr. Hamilton, with a Hannibal or a Caesar to lead us against the British. We are commissioning a regular army immediately. As for the question of slavery, slaves will be given their freedom upon enlistment in the army. Runaways will not be returned to their masters when the war is over.
That sounds very noble, Reverend School. Better done this way than by force, Mr. Madison. I agree. We need to believe in ourselves in order to do this.
The British rally around their Union Jack. I'm after the same symbol for our men. I sought and found a seamstress to make us a flag for battle. She has agreed to do so.
Splendid. She's first rate. She's the only person to do the honors. She really believes in your work, Reverend School.
Yes. You know Madam Betsy Ross, Mr. Madison?
Madam Betsy Ross?
Yes.
No, Reverend, I do not know her. I'm so sorry. I confused your choice with someone else.
Where is your Caesar?
Out there somewhere. His only qualification will be to keep more men alive than the others have done. Oh, I must go back into chambers, but I wanted to thank the three of you personally for everything that you've done.
Return to work, William, as it is time that we return to ours. Goodbye, Reverend School.
I only wish the three of you had become more friendly towards each other.
If your committee will ratify this Constitution without change, then our work will be our bond of friendship.
That sounds inviting.
Thank you again, Mr. J, Mr. Hamilton, and you, my dear.
Gentlemen, you have before you a case spawned from the very roots of deviancy. My client, this young, fair child of 16 years, was forced with a perilous decision, whether to give over to the evil forced upon her, or resist and use what recourse lay at hand to halt the insidious overture. A British soldier disregards all human compassion and is on a demonic quest to molest and shame this innocent gentleman, whose only crime was being on the street late in the evening. She is in poverty and was soliciting pennies to buy food for her child. This aid, by the description of her neighbors and her own character, were not by ill repute. Her attacker made no distinction of this. It was either her life or her honor. She chose a broken bottle within reach to pick up and slash her assailant's throat, thereby bring her nightmare to a close. Do not drag her back into that alley and complete what was not finished. King George demands an answer for the death of one of his own. What say ye to him? I can wait for your answer, gentlemen, if he cannot.
Well, I won't give that bastard son the satisfaction of my or my neighbor's time, with his demands for killing a red-coated bastard. I don't think I speak out of turn when I say this young girl is as innocent as her face. I say beside the same.
You must be unanimous in your verdict, gentlemen of the jury. You must say from your very own lips the judgment of this girl's case. We must send it to His Majesty for record.
All right, men. What are we going to tell that chaplain?
Not guilty.
The jury's verdict has been given and the record voted. Court adjourned.
Mr. J, my name is Reverend William Spool of Philadelphia. I corresponded requesting a meeting with you when I was to arrive in Richmond.
Ah, yes, I received your letter regarding official business from that illustrious forum at Independence Hall. Seems you've muddied the waters with this democratic confederacy of ours.
We are a house divided at the moment.
Men are gathering arms and charging forward against King George.
That will last only as long as their ammunition holds out. When it is spent, they will be forced to throw stones at well-disciplined garrisons. It's happened already.
I am a lawyer, Reverend, not a militiaman. If you want volunteers to assist you in Pennsylvania, you can sign up men at Molly O'Keefe's just up the street. The jury alone will be your first inductees.
I need a lawyer who can fashion laws to protect the landowner and the pauper. You fought with clear dedication and undeniable zeal for the innocence of that poor child. I am asking you to bring that same fire to change the fortunes of a lot more people like her.
Your rhetoric is as persuasive as my own. Bravo. I want you to know that my legal opinions have been relegated to street leaflets and regaled over a pint with colleagues at Alexander's Tavern. I have limits, Reverend. I cannot recite my thoughts in the manner of those who composed our independence from the crown. My thoughts are not Thomas Jefferson's, nor my words like John Adams.
Mr. Adams did not save that young girl's life today. You did.
If this idea of yours comes from divine instruction, I cannot think of a better partner to do the impossible with. I am at your service.
Thank you. I have spoken to Mr. Hamilton about bringing you to New York to work with us. I have one more gentleman to see on our way there. He will be the final member of our group. But I'm a bit worn from travel and could use rest before morning.
Have you lodging for the night?
I do, sir. Thank you again, John J. Esquire.
Something about caring more for fools and children.
And yet the arrogant know the way to hell. That's a clever move, John.
Thank you, James.
A man in his position needs something to pray for. May as well be us.
Well, it's back to Richmond for me.
I need to make ready this currency construction. I can only do that in New York. And you, James? Ah, yes, the farm.
With all its sights and smells. Send me a letter when you each return home.
I will.
Okay.
You'll have it.
Any questions for us?
I have a question. Okay, so I was at the very first one that you guys did, and you really did it, but this one's like even better. So do you find that every time that you do it, like you change little things, or do you notice it as you go?
We probably just get more comfortable and familiar with our minds and our repetition creates better.
Sometimes we try to change up a little bit,
Yeah.
So it's
add a
just
little
change
something
here
here
and
and there,
there.
yeah. Add a little twist here.
So you know you can react to the different things that people are saying.
Yes, I love
Plus,
it.
the first time you saw it was our first time we were performing it live.
Right,
So,
right.
Plus it's chemistry. Me and Mr. Hamilton were great together.